Coming up on Access Sacramento's LiveWire, it's time to find out about a beloved Sacramento charity event called Guns and Hoses Pig Bowl. It's the 50th year and a golden jubilee. We'll tell you all about that coming up. Plus, there's a new pop-up museum that honors the Pig Bowl, its players, and the public that benefits from it all. Coming up next on LiveWire. Good evening. I'm Gary Martin, sitting in for Ray Tatter, and this is Access Sacramento's LiveWire. Today we have the wonderful opportunity to share a story about a 50-year-old golden jubilee of the Pig Bowl. For many of you, you're aware of the event, but might not know why and how it has successfully survived for 50 years. And that's why we've brought in the executive director of the Pig Bowl Foundation, Carrie Trzynski. And Carrie, welcome to the LiveWire program.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and share everything that Pig Bowl has to offer this year after 50 years here in the community.
Well, it's been around for a long time, and it has a storied history. Obviously, we have some jerseys and some helmets here and a trophy. We'll get a chance to talk about all of that. But tell me, what was the goal at the very beginning? Because 50 years ago, this was a pretty novel idea.
Well, I think 50 years ago, and in talking to some of the players that played in those games, because I've been doing a lot of research myself regarding the past, it's just a bunch of group of deputies and police officers that had a love for football, and they had a love for giving back to their community and raising money for different charities at that time. And the game just evolved. The crowds back in the 70s were overwhelming. I mean, they would sell out Hughes Stadium, and that's where we're trying to get back to this year. We want a big crowd out there to support law enforcement, and for law enforcement and first responders, the fire department, to give back to the community.
And we talk about it as being a football game, but it's really so much more, which is why it's survived. What are the other pieces that surround the game and the outskirts, and why families come to attend this event?
Well, it's a fun-filled event. We have a safety fair, and obviously the football game. We have a canine show and things like that. But I think the most important thing about the Pig Bowl in the 50 years is we honor the fallen heroes. The law enforcement officers and the firefighters that have lost their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. And so we want to recognize them each year at our football game. That's ultimately why we play this game, and one of the foundations, one of the nonprofits that we give back to is to help with the families who've lost loved ones in the line of duty.
So let's spend a little more time with that. In 2007 or 2008, you were a player in this game.
Yes.
A while ago, a member of the Sheriff's Department. And you lost a partner in the line of duty.
So in 2007, I was a member of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department gang unit, and my partner, Detective Vu Nguyen, was killed in the line of duty. He was shot by a 16-year-old gang member. And ever since that day, that was in late December when this happened, so that January, a month later, here I am playing in a football game to honor not only him and the ultimate sacrifice that he gave for us, but also honoring his family. So that was very special to me, and it was something that just hit home with me, and one of the reasons why, even after I stopped playing, I wanted to be a part of this organization, and I wanted to keep giving back, in remembering Vu Nguyen, who was a great person and officer for the department.
And obviously we're very sad when those types of things happen, but it's great when we can create memories as well. Families of people who have died in the line of duty must really appreciate what Pig Bowl and the Guns and Hoses game does for them.
Absolutely. The family members just want their loved ones to be remembered and never be forgotten. And that's something that we take to our heart. That's something that we want to do. We want to make sure that these individuals who died for us are never forgotten. And we're thankful and grateful for everything that they've done for us.
In a 50th year event, obviously there's lots of planning that goes into the event, and perhaps some special things that are going to happen at this event. Let me tell you when it's coming up. It is on January the 27th, and the Guns N' Hoses 50th anniversary event will be at Hughes Stadium at Sacramento City College. The kickoff is at 12 noon. Correct, 1 o'clock. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. But there's plenty of safety fair activities and other vendors and things that are going to be out there. Your goal, of course, is to get people out there.
So the safety fair was created back in 1999 in memory of Bill Bean. He was killed in the line of duty and played in the game. One of the things that we're also doing this year is we are putting Bill Bean into the Pig Bowl Hall of Fame. His dad's going to be out there to receive it on his behalf, and that was very special to me also because I played against him. My first Pig Bowl was his last Pig Bowl. We're also, in not only remembering him and putting him in the Hall of Fame, we're going to put 25 Sacramento police officers in the Hall of Fame, along with 25 Sheriff's Department players in the Hall of Fame, along with 10 fire personnel that have played over the years. And
people will be able to see that during halftime?
So at halftime, we're going to have all of the inductees into the Hall of Fame for this year out there, 99% of them, because some of them can't make it. They live out of state, and some have actually passed away. So we're going to honor as many of them that will be out there. So pretty much almost all of them.
Well, Kerry, we've been talking for several minutes about this event, but we have some video that we'd like to share and gives people a better sense of the, I guess, energy as well as the nostalgia that comes as part of this event. Let's take a look at that video.
32, Bakken. Blocked. Touchdown.
So there you have it, a little sample of some of the action between the law in black and blue and the fire in red. The event coming up Saturday, January the 27th. It is the Fire Dogs, the Dalmatians, and the Law Hogs at Hughes Stadium there at Sacramento City College. And for more information, you can visit pigbowl.org. You know, Pig Bowl has a history in television as well. Many years ago, was it in the 70s, that ABC's Wide World of Sports actually broadcast the Pig Bowl?
Yes, I heard that. And if you notice from some of those clips, the game has taken place at Hughes Stadium, Sacramento State. A couple years it was Rancho Cordova, and at Capital Christian. One of the things that we really wanted to do, our committee, is bringing it back to Sac City where it started. So that's where we played it last year. That's where we're playing it this year, and we want to keep it at Hughes Stadium for as long as possible to cherish that tradition and all the camaraderie and sportsmanship that has been filled in that stadium.
And Hughes, of course, has a huge history itself,
Yes.
being built at Sacramento City College, and it's a great site for an event like this. You did mention the safety fair, but there are other things that people will see when they come to Hughes Stadium for this football game. There's a helicopter piece at the beginning.
So one of the most positive feedback, if you will, that we received last year was the helicopters. And last year, one of the helicopters came and hovered over the 50-yard line and dropped a football. And we had a law player, and if he caught the football, money was donated to certain charities. So this year, one of the things that we're doing is we're going to have the helicopter hover, and we're going to have 2 footballs tossed out, one on each side. You're going to have a law player and a fire player try to catch the ball, and whoever catches it or doesn't catch it, that money is going to go to the other individual's charity of choice.
Well, okay, that was a lot of fun
Yes.
to watch, and obviously people responded well to that. Outside the stadium itself, we mentioned the safety fair, but you also have a variety of vendors and information booths. Can you share anything else about why families would enjoy coming to the event?
So one of the things that our SCDSA, our Sacramento County Deputy Sheriff's Association, along with other agencies, are going to have large tailgates out in the parking lot, and we're encouraging people to come by and say hello and grab something to eat. The safety fair is going to take place inside the stadium. The only problem with that is hopefully it doesn't rain, because if it rains, we can't be in the stadium because it's a grass area and it might get muddy and wet. So then we would have to put that outside. But last year we were blessed with good weather, and watching the weather predictions for this year, it looks like it's going to be a nice day. So it's going to be a fun-filled event for all ages to come out and enjoy the day.
And I know it's always fun at halftime. Not only do you get to see the cheerleaders, who are volunteers too, right? They're the wives, spouses, daughters of fire and police officers.
Absolutely. So we have one of our sergeants in our sheriff's department, is kind of the coordinator, Sergeant Allie Murphy. A lot of the, like you just said, spouses, actual deputies, firefighters, and their kids out there participating on the cheer team, which is great because this year we have a father and son playing in the game, and his wife and daughter are cheering as well. So it's a family affair.
That would be. They're going to have to celebrate afterwards because they're going to be tired, I would imagine. At that
and
point.
God bless them for coming out and all the time that they're putting into this game, and all the time that they're volunteering basically to give back to the community.
Well, I know it's fun too because at halftime you also have a canine demonstration, and for people who watch television movies and whatnot, and the dogs and all of that, that's real, and you get to see that in real time at halftime.
Yeah, so at halftime we're going to have the cheerleaders, the Hall of Fame inductees, and the canine show, and a lot of people love the canine show out there because, like you just said, they get to see the canines working.
And I think one of the coolest things for me, because it's always a shock, you have a police car there and the canine unit runs off, the dog runs off and leaps through the window of the car and then suddenly turns around and is like, what's next? It's so much fun to watch it.
They're eager to work, and then to them, they're having fun. So they enjoy it. If you ask one of the canines, they'll tell you they enjoy it.
Let's talk football just for a second.
Sure.
You were a player, and you have first responders who are out there, right? We're talking about firemen, policemen, sheriffs, and they're hitting on each other and
Yes.
trying to score points and make tackles. That's an aggressive game. Sometimes they can get a little upset with each other.
And there's been some pushing, a little bit of fighting, nothing too serious, but they're out there playing football, and it can be a little aggressive at times. And when they're on the field, they want to win. Both teams want to win, and it can get a little hectic, if you will. But at the end of the game, they all love each other, they all respect each other, and we all go to work together with one common goal, and that's to make the community a safer place for everybody.
You mentioned when you were a player, you had a unique experience one year because you scored some points.
So and I hate saying this because I'm not gloating, but I'm the only player in Pig Bowl history to score on offense and defense. And that record still stands to this day after 50 years.
So how did that happen? What did you do?
So I scored on offense a couple of times as a running back. I was a running back, kick returner, and then on defense I played linebacker and defensive lineman. And Greg Couette blocked a field goal one year. We were tied up. Sac Petee was trying to win the game. We blocked the field goal, and I ran it back about 80 yards for the game-winning touchdown. So that was very special to me because 2 of my kids were born at the time, and they were there at the stadium, so they got to see it.
Well, Access Sacramento is going to be broadcasting that game, and one of the announcers is Greg Couette. Mm-hmm. It'll be also joined by Doug Kelly. And then Walt Gray from Channel 10 will be doing play-by-play. He was in the origins of that game, and so he comes back to do that role one more time. And the new broadcaster this year on the sidelines is ABC 10 sportscaster Kevin John. So he'll have 4 great broadcasters to bring the game to.
I had the opportunity to speak to Walt Gray a couple of times in the last several months, and it was a blessing and an honor to have him back in the booth, especially for this game.
And all of those people are volunteers, much like the members of your board. There's lots of volunteers who help make this game go. Anybody you want to kind of describe the duties that are going on right now?
So right now there's a lot going on, not only with volunteers such as the coaches. The coaches aren't getting paid for both staffs. And then you have our board of directors, our committee members, which is made up of regular citizens along with, football, deputy sheriffs, police officers, and fire personnel. We have, the regular duties of a board, treasurer, a media person, someone that does all the just coordinating the game day, coordinating all the events, the crab feed. So there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just show up at 1 o'clock and play football. When the game ended last year, that's when our planning started for this year, and it hasn't stopped, and I don't think it'll stop until Sunday, January 28th.
All the volunteers at the vendor fair and the safety fair, and of course the players themselves. And of course, you also have the other nonprofits that benefit. You mentioned the toy drive, you mentioned the crab feed. Anything else in terms of beneficiaries of this game that you want to mention?
So the Burn Institute, the Fire Burn Institute, we donate money to. The Sheriff's Activities League here in Sacramento is a gang prevention program, mentoring program. Our Sheriff's Toy Project. We donate a lot of money to the chaplaincies that serve the fire department as well as the law enforcement agencies. We also fund different programs that have to do with assisting families of fallen heroes in our communities. Those are just to name a few. Last year we gave money to, I think it was over 20 organizations. Mothers Against Drunk Driving is another one. It's just organizations that we feel are making a difference.
And pretty soon this trophy is going to go to the next winner of the Pig Bowl on January 27th. Kerry, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Coming up on LiveWire, we're going to hear a little bit more about the history of the Pig Bowl and tell you about how you can find out more about a pop-up museum that features memorabilia from the last 50 years. LiveWire continues in just a moment.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, amigo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Welcome back to LiveWire. Today we're talking about the 50th anniversary Pig Bowl coming to Hughes Stadium at Sacramento City College on January 27th. And joining us now is another member of the board for the Pig Bowl Foundation. This is Robin Sutter. She's the Public Information Officer. And Robin, it's fun to talk with you right now because there's a cool little pop-up museum that is taking place that features 50 years of Pig Bowl memories. Tell me kind of how this came to be.
So as we were coming up on the 50th, I knew that it needed to be grand. We needed to pay tribute not just to alumni that started it so many years ago, 50 years ago, but also showcase all of the different volunteers throughout, because throughout 50 years, we've had thousands of volunteers that have brought us to this 50th game and has brought us to raising over $1.75 million to our local charities. So I saw that we had this need here in Sacramento. You know, history sometimes gets lost, and a lot of people don't realize the amount of history that has been steeped in Sacramento via Pig Bowl Guns and Hoses.
So you had this idea of putting together some of the memorabilia in one space so that people could come and visit it. So what would people see at this pop-up museum?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Actually, when I was originally looking for a commercial space to go ahead and house some of this memorabilia and to bring Sacramentans in on this history, this long line of history here in Sacramento, I was originally looking for maybe a 2,000 square foot commercial space. Figured that I could do that. Instead, I have over 12,000 square feet, and we've been able to fill it. So you'll be able to see plenty of mannequins with the different jerseys throughout the years, as well as different uniforms, both for Sac PD and for the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department when they had the green wool back, I think it was the 80s when they had that green wool before they went to the black and gold. So coming out, you'll be able to see the timeline of when the game first started, 1975. We have a replica desk of Sheriff Dwayne Lowe's and his hat that he used to wear all the time to Pig Bowl. And then, of course, Chief Kinney and Chief Kearns for the Sacramento Police Department. You know, Kinney was on his way out at the time, so it was his last year, and Kearns really picked up the slack and ran with Pig Bowl guns and hoses. So it was interesting to see and read some of the historical aspects, and then to see some of the names and faces, and to know that we have a song called the Pig Bowl Jubilee that was written by Mike Chamberlain, who also wrote the 49ers theme song. So when you come to the museum, you will definitely hear, and we have the original records that play from the Pig Bowl Jubilee.
So there's a song that is about Pig Bowl, and it was written by the same guy that did the 49ers song?
Yes, Mike Chamberlain.
Okay. All right. Well, we have some memorabilia here. Tell me a little bit about what we have on the front of the desk.
We do. So these are helmets and uniforms from the last maybe 10 years or so. But what I want you guys to focus in on is if you see on the back of some of the helmets, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and turn this around.
Yep.
You'll see all these different stickers. All of these stickers are fallen officers or fallen firefighters that have been killed in the line of duty. And what the guys tend to do is they put the sticker there to honor their fellow brethren. And that's been going on for decades. And one of the things at the museum that I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting and seeing and being a part of is some of those families of the fallen officers have come to the museum and has seen where we honored their loved one, and how till this day we still honor them. And in the museum, it was very important to showcase that portion of it and to showcase the fallen officers throughout time here in Sacramento, so people can see the dangers of that.
So you have some pictures that you have of the museum. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at a couple of those, and maybe you can tell us what we're seeing in these pictures.
So right here, this is before the grand opening. This is the day before we housed two different events. This is actually the fire football team coming out. They thought it was extremely important not just to remind their guys why they're playing, but to go ahead and show the history and where it started and where it was fused into fire 21 years ago. And we like to call them the heroes. They're the ones that have saved and has got us to the 50 years. So right here you'll see Bill Bean is in the middle. He's got the wonderful white beard. He came out and he brought his personal picture of his son at the very last game that he played a week before. I think it was a week to 2 weeks before he was killed in the line of duty. And he brought that out there and he wanted to showcase it so other people can remember his son. Here you have Mike Ziegler, the undersheriff. He was out there and did a talk to over 45 different people that were in attendance for a luncheon, and he was just mesmerized. Here's Bill Bean. What he's holding is a picture. It's a pin, and it's of his son. It was created for the game when we honored him, and he's carried around in his pocket for almost 20 years. Here is Kevin Ton's family. They came out, the parents, and they they spent a lot of time there, and they were just very touched to see that their loved one is still being remembered. Here you have Sue Paulson. Man, she's my right hand. She went ahead, and without her, we wouldn't even have the museum. And Steve Reed, who was one of the original coaches for SPD. In fact, his story, it's great hearing this. I love hearing all the stories about Pig Bowl. So Steve Reed, he actually was a teacher at, I believe it was, he's going to skewer me for this one. It was a local high school. And him and Max Miller were football coaches. Max Miller was one of the original SPD Bacon Bombers coaches, and Steve Reed was brought into it. And Steve ended up falling in love with the profession of law enforcement after he'd been teaching for almost 14 years, quit his job, and went ahead and joined the police department, Sacramento Police Department, served over 20 years there, and now he helps veterans. He is one of the very foremost people for military veterans affairs. He also does the honor flights that take our service members back to Washington, D.C. free of charge, so they can see that their history is intact and that they were appreciated as well.
So all sorts of outreach from Pig Bowl that touches so many more elements of the community. Access Sacramento has helped with the museum by providing a projector, and you've been showing some of the previous games. You shared with me a story before we got on air about a gentleman and his son who came and ended up spending some time there. Can you tell me that story again?
Yes, so yesterday I'd gotten a call, and it was from a gentleman by the name of Chris, and he said, you know, my dad played in the very first 10 games. I would really love to bring him out and show him part of the legacy that he's left behind. In addition, his brother also played for the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department on Law Hogs. So, and he's a fire guy, so of course I had to razz him and say, okay, are you playing? And he said no. So he came out, and they thought they were going to be there just for a little bit of time. And what I noticed is they ended up spending a lot of time going over to where the projector is that Access Sacramento has put on loan to us. And they stood there for a good 15, 20 minutes watching the game. And I said, well, I'll get you some chairs. And they said, no, you know, we've already been here too long. We don't want to keep you. And I said, oh, gosh, no, you're not keeping me. So needless to say, I ended up sneaking over some chairs, and they ended up sitting down. And it was hours later before they left. They were so enthralled in it. And for Ray to be able to spend that time with his son,
Right.
and his son to see that he's made a huge difference. He was one of the forefathers, you know, of the first 10 years of Pig Bowl Guns and Hoses. So to be able to have that experience, and then to see grandkids as they come
So it's
in.
very heartwarming for all the people who are going to come take a look at that.
It really is. And I have to say, selfishly, I've enjoyed hearing and watching those stories unfold. So it warms my heart.
So let's show people some information about the museum one more time. If people want to be able to see it, how do they go about doing that?
Well, that's since it's an all-volunteer museum right now, I'm not charging anybody admission fees, and I'm not going to pay anybody to be there. So right now we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 through 4 p.m. But on the slide that you guys, I'm hopeful will show the information, we'll actually give you the information to get in contact with me, so we can always open it up for private showings. We also hold events there. And even before our grand opening, we had an event that covered over 165 people. And then the next morning was our grand opening. So
the museum is one piece, but of course the Pig Bowl itself is coming up on January 27th. For more information about that, you can go to pigbowl.org, find out about the safety fair, the toy drive, and of course all of the Pig Bowl Foundation's activities, including their crab fees and other types of methods of raising money for all of the different types of nonprofits that benefit. Robin, thank you very much for being here on LiveWire.
thank you, Gary.
LiveWire is here on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock with repeats throughout the week. Ray Tatter couldn't be here today, but I'm Gary Martin. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you'll get involved with Pig Bowl activities coming up over the course of the next 2 weeks. Take care and good night.